And yes, your eyes are not deceiving you there. Yes, it is a sign language song. Now, I don't know if you knew, but there are approximately 4 million South Africans who have hearing difficulties, with an estimated 500,000 and 600,000 using South African Sign Language, or SASL, as it has become more important to acknowledge people living with hearing challenges. Now, up-and-coming rapper, the LazarusMan and St. Vincent's School of the Deaf, along with MTN, have created a bespoke track using sign language for the hard of hearing or deaf community. So to tell us more about this very exciting project, I'm joined by LazarusMan. Thanks so much for coming through.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
You know, when you say music and people who are deaf or hard of hearing,
it's hard to sort of put the two together.
It's very hard to put them together. Talk to us about this project.
So there was a few friends of mine at TBWA came up with the concept, and then they came to me and they were like, listen, we'd really like you to write this piece, and we're going to collaborate with a couple of other musicians, and when you write the piece, you're going to have to perform it, but you're going to have to do it inside. And I was like, wait, what? Like, what's that whole process? So we sort of got down to it. I wrote the poem, but also the poem in itself also speaks to how we use language specifically and to communicate, and not so much sound. And I think a lot of the things that we say and the words that we use are sort of rather more important than sort of the audibility of how we sort of do things. So we created the track, and I think the beat in itself is also specific in that it uses vibrations. So even though you can't hear it, but deaf people can react to it based on the vibrations of the speakers, and they can feel the rhythm if they just put their sort of hand on the speaker or just even around them. It makes sense in that way.
Oh, wow, that's fascinating. So talk to us about this track, and what do the lyrics actually mean?
So the lyrics is about empowering people who are using sign in order, and also to sort of use their words sort of eloquently and use your words well. And I think the difficult thing for me also, when I also started to sort of learn to sign the piece, I also had to learn what each of the words meant that I had written. So there was a whole sort of process in working that through, like what have I written in relation to what it is in sort of sign, and that was the most important thing. And so it's mostly to people to go, listen, just because you don't hear them, it doesn't mean that people who sign don't have a voice or cannot express themselves in any certain way.
So let's talk about you learning to sign. How long did that take? How difficult was it?
Yeah, so initially we had we gave ourselves 2 weeks to try and get the project done. It took me at least...
Ambitious much?
Yeah. So I think I wrote the poem within a space of 1 day. I'm a pretty quick writer. We wrote it in a day, and then we sent it off to an instructor to sort of send back the sign. But then all I got back were like short videos, and I had no idea what she was saying or where she was in relation to the poem. So then a collaboration came through with her and I, and we sort of sat together, and she told me, she goes, you use this, you say that, you say that, you say that. But one of the most important things she taught me as well is that you have to sign with attitude. Like how we speak, everyone has a tone, everyone has a certain way that they express themselves. It's the same in sign. So you can't just be like stoic. If you see the video, sometimes it's also flowing in a sense. She was like, add attitude, add feeling, because when we sign, we do the same thing. Even though you may not be able to understand us, but we also add an element to how we speak as well. So that was really important and really challenging. But if you have someone who knows and who has assisted you, it actually becomes a really cool and fun process as well.
So how long did it take?
Yeah, it took us 2 weeks, and then for the shoot it took us 2 days. So I'm a very fast learner. So
evidently.
Yeah, so we learned, I think I had it in on the first day, then by the second day we were flowing, and it was all quite amazing.
And what's the feedback been like?
The feedback's been really amazing. I think also it's kind of weird because people most of the time don't, when we see people who sign, they don't understand. So they looked at the video and they're like, nice moves. I'm like, no, it's sign. It's not like I'm just dancing and flailing my hands on a video. So that was really interesting. And I think it also brought about people to understand that they don't know how to sign. It brought attention to how many people don't know how to sign, and that's quite important as well. So yeah.
Well, that is absolutely fascinating. And thanks so much for coming through to share that with us.
Thank you for having me. It's also a real pleasure.
You know what? If there are any, hard of hearing people, deaf people watching this right now, and you obviously are able to follow what's going on with the video there, let us know, give us some feedback, because I am totally fascinated. And thank you to LazarusMan. He released that new track done entirely in South African Sign Language. Let's take a quick break.